All right, it's my great pleasure to moderate this panel of some amazing companies. Of course, I knew all these companies before, but I love moderating a panel. I get to really research and dig into the companies, and I'm just truly impressed with what you guys have built. And so why don't we just start out by quick introductions from each of you on your businesses, and talk a little bit, specifically, we're talking about innovation. It's entitled Tech Innovators, What's Innovative About Your Platform? So let's just start there. So Joe, we might have heard of your company before. Some of us might have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm Joe Shah, the co-founder and CTO of Mobike. I'm with Mobike since day one. I'm very glad to be here. I think pretty much everybody know who we are. We're a bike-share company, and we actually will say innovate.
Turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Oh, okay. I think we're gonna innovate a way that connect every bicycle to the back end, and then allow people to use smartphone to find the bicycle, finish the registration on the mobile, and be able to lock and unlock the bike using your app. And the most important thing is we allow people to park the bicycle anywhere you want. Which is really, I wouldn't say innovative way, but really a great way for convenient way for people to use bicycle as the last mile solution. Yeah.
Right on. All right, Dirk.
Got it. Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Dirk. I'm a co-founder of Zanadu, and we are a travel company. We operate in the premium travel space, and managed to build a brand over the last few years to own that space in the premium travel segment. We are innovative in the world of travel. The world of travel is very old school and conservative. There's a few disruptors like Airbnb, of course, but that's like a 1 in a million kind of chance to do that. So we're innovating by bringing content and travel together and have this as some sort of e-commerce system. So we do a lot of mobile commerce in the luxury segment. We create a lot of content, and we also create a lot of VR content, immersive content, and we use that content, for example, in our retail experience space in Shanghai, where you get a total kind of immersive view of what your vacation could look like before you actually buy it, and it's all linked to CRM, etc. Thank you.
Right on.
Hi everyone, I'm Yili. It's L-I-N, not L-E-N on that screen. I'm a VP from Mobvoi. We are a Beijing-based startup focused on AI technology. I know that Dave just that AI is a buzzword right now, but we're really a solid company doing the shit every day. So founded in late 2012 by Zhifei, an ex-Googler coming back from Google to China, and our core team have a lot of experience both in China and US. So we have been raised like 5 or 6 rounds of funding. Last 2 rounds, one is by Google Capital. The last month we are invested by Volkswagen Group China. So a lot of strategic investors are interested in us because we probably are the only few company has full stack voice AI technology in China. And we adopt an end-to-end technology and product solution, which means that we only provide technology. We not only building prototype, we're building real consumer products. Like this watch on my wrist, it's called TicWatch. It's I think it's a top sell smartwatch in China, and also we're selling it right now in US. And also in connected car space, we have our smart rearview mirror devices, which equipped with our voice virtual personal assistant. So basically, we are a AI product company.
Yeah, and I think Dave said that voice recognition was a platform. So he says you are actually a real company. So don't worry. You can continue. Okay. All right. So in the past, I mean, we've all know historically that China's often been accused as copycatters. Okay, but I think we also all know, being very familiar with the market now, it's completely changed. Tell us, outside of your companies, we know, and we've already described innovation in your own companies. Outside of your companies, where do you see original innovation in China? And then more specific, or less specifically, what industries do you feel like are more innovative than others? Where are China's strengths of innovation? Who wants to jump in? I'm going to call on somebody.
I've been here since the early 2000s. Can out me like that here, and it's been not always easy in the early 2000s living in China. There's a lot of legacy pain points, I would say, growing up in China. A lot of kind of state-owned companies owned lots of segments, consumer segments. And I just remember when I used to work with Ogilvy, a big advertising firm. It was on Anzhenqiao, it's the North 3rd Ring Road, and there was no restaurant around. There was only one restaurant, and that's the only thing you could eat there. There was no other chance unless you took a taxi going somewhere. So I think the pain points really make it happen in China to come up with innovation. So now you can get Ele.me, you get like dozens and dozens of food delivery companies that kind of solve that problem. And so delivery and mobile payments and the internet and the mobile internet, I mean, it happens so fast here, but it's all there for a reason. And I think all those points kind of enable innovation in China. It doesn't even know where to start with what's innovative in China. Every time I go back to Germany, and from Germany I feel I go back to a third world country because I cannot pay at the market my onions with my WeChat. You know? Yeah.
You're exactly right. My colleague Ryan on the way over here was telling me about how he felt like life is easier in China simply because of WeChat and how you could do everything on WeChat. When I lived in China, I did my time here. I was here for 5 years, and I definitely didn't feel like my life was easier than my life back home. But now I think foreigners are feeling the opposite, and I totally agree with that. WeChat is just so far-reaching. So where else? Obviously, so WeChat. You mentioned. So Yili, do you have anything to add to that? Where do we see original innovation in China?
If you talk about business model innovation, you have been seeing a lot in the recent years, like Mobike being Mobike is product innovation plus business model innovation, in my view. And I've been noticed that a lot of the concept is copying from China to US, business model wise. So I think that's one area. And for us, it's more like product innovation. I think if you're talking about fundamental technologies, I think US is still far more advantaged. But if you talk about business, it need to combine with the local context. You need to know the market. So oftentimes, if you have a very product and service oriented business, then I think China is definitely, especially in recent years, very vibrant in terms of innovation in this area.
Absolutely. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I think a lot of the innovations that coming out from China recent year because the whole as you mentioned, like WeChat has become more popular and the penetration for the whole countries are really high, right? And that really drives a lot of innovations, right? For example, right, if there's no WeChat or Alipay, they probably will no more Mobike because we want people to pay through smart app, and all these things that really drives the whole market and create more innovative innovation ideas. And that all based on the existing innovation or existing innovative products or platforms. Mm-hmm. And I see as actually, I don't want to against the Yili, but we're not just a product or business model company. As a Mobike, we're really a technology company because we already applied for more than 100 international patents and authorized over 30 patents, covering from bike design, mechanical, electrical, smart lock, system, even AR. Recently, we just announced our AR platform. So we do a lot of we innovate a lot of the because no one really launched such a large scale of bike renting business or bike sharing business before, and a lot of the innovation actually coming from what you can see or where you stand, right? If you happen never see a large scale. You never run a bike sharing with now we have 3.65 million bicycles running in our network, right? If you never run such a big scale bicycle, you never will figure out, run into problems like, hey, how I manage these bicycles, right? Using manpower or use an AI technology that really, reduce the manpower, but really increase the efficiency of the systems, right? So these are happen to see, you have the scenario and then you run into the real problem and you try to figure out what's the real way or what's the good solution to solve the problem. And that really drives innovation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on. What do you now that we've been very positive talking about the innovation in China, what do you think are the bottlenecks or the weaknesses of the tech ecosystem? What does China need to overcome in order to be the undisputable center of technology innovation in the world? I mean, I think we all know Silicon Valley is probably still the leader here, at least if you measure by venture dollars. Definitely more venture dollars in Silicon Valley. But so what does China need to do to become that indisputable leader?
Yeah, I can speak more from our perspective is when we started Mobike, actually we have a vision that we're going to be a global company. The reason for that is previously, if you look at a lot of even the Chinese big IT company like Tencent, they're having trouble, getting into our international market. We pretty much believe that, there's a lot of underlying problems, but we think when we combine the hardware with software together, because the advantages of the manufacturing abilities in China, that drives the cost of the hardware really low. And if you combine that with proper software technology, and that's going to help the Chinese company to rolling out their services or applications overseas. For example, we studied a lot about the international bike sharing business, and we noticed that, for example, when U.S. government purchased their bike sharing platform, they pay like $5,000 US for each bicycle, and we're talking about $400 and $500 US per bike, and even more advanced and more good quality. This is different, right? So we disrupt from really the underlying of the whole technology chain to the manufacturing level, and be able to improve the product, not just from the product itself, but thinking about the maintenance, the manufacturing efficiency, and combine all this together. This is a revolution. I wouldn't say revolution, but it's considering the hardware product life cycle, not just the user side, but the whole operation, maintenance, manufacturing, combine this all together. That's really brings us a lot of the advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dirk?
Yeah. So I think that in China, a lot of companies and startups, they're really good in hacking away and solving problems and doing this very efficiently, very smartly. So are Americans, but what Chinese are not as good in is they're not as good as in polishing it and kind of making it shiny and glitzy. I think this is what the Americans are really good in, and that's why China will always have a bit of an issue.
Does this really well. Have you guys seen the Juicero? Man, we really polished that one up really well.
No, but I mean,
Theranos too, right?
Yeah. But I mean, if it comes to apps or any kind of software solutions, for example, I mean, anything American just looks much more shiny and well packaged and well crafted, and it writes its own kind of press release that kind of travels all the way to Nigeria. But Chinese companies, it just doesn't travel as far because maybe it's not packaged as well, as not as international, I would say, and that may be a bit of an issue. And I think for me personally, being now in the startup world for 5 years, and I'm one of the I'm a Mobvoi co-founder. I'm the only Mobvoi in the company, basically. There's one. I hired one more.
I know
actually.
how you feel.
At times it's not easy, to be honest. But also, what I realize is there is just really not much diversity in Chinese companies at all. Like I'm sure you guys have a few foreigners now, and you probably as well. But it's probably the exception to the rule. Maybe in the bigger companies like Tencent as well, they have foreign press attachés and stuff like that. But generally, there is not much of an international culture here here. That's why I think it's more difficult for China to grab that kind of status as being the innovation hub of the world, even though it may as well already be it.
Good. I think those are fair. Those are fair. Yili, you have anything to add here?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, so your question is about the bottleneck or the challenge of being a true innovator for Chinese company, right? I think being a Chinese startup, like growing stage startup, we're not small. We have like 300 more people, but the challenge in China is that you're gonna at certain stage you're gonna face the threat or like not say threat. You're gonna deal with BAT or those giant players. For us, we want to be. We had a product called Virtual Personal Assistant, which by voice interaction connecting to the major internet content service. And now, as you grow bigger, you have more user bases. You're facing. Like yesterday, I've been asked by one of the BAT, say, which side are you in? Are you in T or in Alibaba or Tencent, right? So you have to choose. Anyway, it's a tough decision. And going outside of China, you're right. So Chinese company is not like China or as a nation is not that diverse. And if you go out, everybody's gonna always ask, is there a backdoor in your software? Like those kind of questions. There's a trust issue, and I think it takes times. But I've been seeing a lot of great products. I'm proud of our software, hardware integration products. We've been selling quite well in US and also Mobike. So it takes times, and Chinese companies need to be more international and diverse. And then just let the action speaks louder than words. It just takes time. There's no shortcut.
Right on. Okay, so for the next question, I'm gonna use Mobike as a use case, as a case study. So I'm gonna pick on you just a little bit. So let me ask you a question. When did you start Mobike?
January 2015.
January 2015. Everybody remember that date? Okay. How many rounds of capital have you raised?
Can't remember.
You're at Series D, right? You're Series D.
Yeah, Series D.
Series D.
Yeah.
January 2015, people. That's incredible. So, I mean, how many rounds? I mean, what is that? 8? I can't even count. 6, 8 rounds in 2 years, right? So, with that information, Dave was just here. He talked about how startups in China are often seen as overvalued. And there are too much money following too few great deals. You're definitely the great deal. Let me pump you up a little bit. So is that true? Now that we've laid out Mobike here, have you on the hotspot? Do you feel that there's values are high because there are too few good deals and too much money, too many investors?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, from what we evaluate ourselves, as I just mentioned, I mean, just don't treat us as a bike sharing company, right? I think in the next few months you will see a lot of changes, a lot of announcements from us about Mobike. So as you can see, we connecting 3.65 million bicycles connecting to our backend. We're the world's largest IoT company, and generating several TBs right now every day data. And last week, 2 weeks ago actually, April 13, we just hit 20 million trips a day, which makes us the largest. Transportation company, I was call that. So if you look at the size of how many people we serve and how quick we grow from one user to right now we serve tens of million people every month. A typical example we mentioned in our 1-year anniversary is in Chengdu city, right? So we provide services to 3 million people, users every day, which is even bigger than the subway.
So I think what you're saying is the scale is just so massive that it justifies the valuations.
When we look at ourselves, we don't just look at ourselves as a bike sharing, as I mentioned. We look at ourselves as an IoT company, or as well as even you mentioned if you're looking at the trips that we're achieving today, we are already the largest platform, right? But in the future, how we're going to connect the different type of transportation and be a transportation to agnostic platform, there's a lot of things we can do, right? But right now we're going to focus just on the bike sharing. But I don't know, in the future, we have a plan that to expand to different category of transportation tools as well. The most important thing, if you look at, as I mentioned that, and no one right now manages so many bicycles or so many transporting tools, hardwares. I mean, mobile. So what we see is the reason we build our AR is we want to build a brand for the whole platform. It doesn't matter in the future, it's going to manage the bike or different transporting tools, and that's going to be a unified AR brand that be able to predict the supply demand, be able to dynamic dispatch our bicycles.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are when we look at our platform. So we're gonna transform to a different kind of technology in the future, but not just bike sharing.
Right on.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. What about you guys? What do you think? Do you think that values are high? Are they justified, or is it that stereotype?
I think Mobile is undervalued actually. After
yeah, you're scared to say anything because you think I'm specifically asking about Mobike now. But no, outside of Mobike. Okay, Mobike is outside of Mobike. What do you think?
But I cannot speak for too many others because I'm slightly the odd one out here because we got two big guys here with D rounds sitting here, and we just hopefully closing our B round soon, which isn't that easy, to be honest with you, if you don't have that scale that you have or that kind of product innovation that you have. Then if you, like Dave said before, still do the good old e-commerce kind of stuff, you actually have to prove revenue and prove profitability. So that's our stage right now, and going through a B round right now, we just find it not very easy to raise money. I think it's working all out, so don't worry, it's going to be fine. But generally, I think the climate definitely is a bit more sober and somber right now. And unless you have a great story and great kind of scalability, which after listening to you, I totally agree. It's all good. Other than that, it's probably going to be difficult right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there are definitely a lot of capital and money flowing around, especially in China. I think because the big picture is, if you're a rich guy in China, probably there's except buying houses and real properties, you're gonna spend your money to some big PE and VCs because you don't gonna get money in the equity market in China. It's hard, and if you're doing real business on the ground, it's also hard to make money. So I think that's part of the reason why there are so many capital flowing around. And for us, we are more like a technology and product company focusing on AI, sort of like shooting the moon vision. So we were always going to find a way to raise capital, right? If you just look at our financials at this stage, definitely, if you are like a late stage PE, like doing e-commerce and those kind of things, we're definitely not a target. But there are different kind of VC, different flavors. So I think, yes, if you are a good company or you are a company with a vision, I don't think it would be a problem to raise money. The problem is only how do you make money by yourself as a company. I don't think it's easy, especially for more like a fundamental, like technology-driven, product-driven company. It's not easy. Yeah.
You just mentioned a good point that when you have a great company, raising money isn't often your biggest problem. Yeah. And so often events like this, we're talking about, how do you raise money? How do you coax the VC to give you money? But really, when you have a great company, you can often choose your VCs. So that's my next question. I'd like to kind of give some advice to the entrepreneurs in the room is how should they evaluate, how should they choose which VC to take? What questions should they ask the VC? Joe, you've done this a little bit.
Yeah, we actually had at the early stage, we had a very hard time to raise money as well. I mean, no one trusts us. I think that's even early 2016. We have a few VCs that actually, we already signed the TS, and then they kind of like, I don't want to say that. So the VC we choose later on really will focus on what the resources they can bring to us, and how they can help us to grow. These are very important things So we actually leverage a lot of the resources from our VCs. Some are just purely for finance, and some are strategic, because the reason Mobike is very focused on growth. So we try when we bring the strategic partners on board. What we really look at how we work together to bring more users to our platform, and that drives growth of Mobike, and that's going to help us to enter the next stage, right? I mean, if you cannot create enough user base and create enough demand, we're kind of like a demand supply game. Even you build many bicycles on the road, and no one going to ride it, right? So this is one of the important thing when we choose the VC on our later stage. Yeah.
Okay. Dirk, how do you choose your VCs?
Yeah, so it's not always that you can choose all the time either. I mean, it's always a tough process. I'm not sure how you managed to do this 6 times in 2 years. That's quite impressive, actually. It always takes a tremendous amount of time and effort from a lot of people involved. And I think once you get down to a short list, clearly, I mean, it's not just the money you want. You always want to get some sort of benefit if growth is the main objective, and how you can get more users onto your platform. For us, for example, our A round was with Tencent, and Tencent is a good name in some respects, and some not so much. But it took us a while to figure out how to actually make use of that later. I mean, now have a good thing going with them in terms of content. This is one of the games we're playing, but it always it always looks quite good in the beginning, and then you realize, okay, maybe it's not that easy to get more out of the partner than just the money. So sometimes you're as lucky or not lucky as the VC is with the investment, and yes, you get the money, but maybe you not get much more than that. And I think everybody is always looking for growth opportunities through your VC partner. So for us, that's a very key point. So we're looking for people in the content, in the travel space, to invest in us.
Okay, right on. Actually, I want to ask a couple questions specifically of your businesses, because we've talked a lot about Mobike, so let's go with Mobvoi. Alexa in the U.S. has kind of really shown us some new possibilities of Alexa, and I don't know if that platform, or not specifically Alexa, but voice recognition, natural voice, has taken off quite yet in China. My question to you is, when do you see that taking off, and what are the possibilities for this new platform?
I think that's definitely it's the future. So if you're looking at the history chain from DOS, like you type commands, and then you go to Windows, like those GUI interfaces on PC, and then now you come to Apple, like iPhone touch apps. The next wave of like IoT or like computer technology going to be more human nature, HMI, like human machine interaction. And I think voice is definitely, it's how you communicate with the person. So that should be the way you communicate with the machine. And in China, there are several companies doing this, and we are one of the few that has, as I said, we had a full stack technology from the algorithm, from speech recognition to natural language processing to search to TTS to building an OS and hardware. And yes, you're going to see a lot of company working on like Alexa, Echo like products this year in China. And I think building the hardware is easy for Chinese company, but the hard part is how do you really make it intelligent? So which means that you really have something like Alexa, or like virtual personal assistant that can really connect the information and services you want. And for us, we've been working for some time on this, and we're actually the voice service provider, not only for our own product, but for like Huawei's Android Wear watch and also Motorola's Android Wear watch. So basically, having a relationship with Google, and which really benefit us for building some Chinese localized language engine in China. So yeah, to answer your question,
Right on.
I believe that.
Great. And the last question is for Dirk. You guys are really leaders in virtual reality here. I mean, you're just, so tell us what new insights, whenever you implement a new platform, especially not just new to you, but really new to the world, what new insights have you gained by basically effectively selling your products via VR experiences? What new insights have you gained? And I also want to know, is it actually uplifting sales? Which is really, at the end of the day, what
everybody
matters.
wants to know that. Yeah.
Right.
Not very much.
Okay.
So we are content players. So in China, the travel market is very new. It's only 10 years that you can actually get a visa and a passport. And there's a lot of explanation, inspiration, education to be done. We do this through content, and that content kind of drives our e-commerce engine. Text, picture, video, VR was the kind of next step that we started end of 2015, I think. And we got all in and produced a lot of content. We actually won the best VR content from HTC Vive, a global content competition, which was actually today on Facebook. It popped up. It was exactly a year ago. And looking back now, we got 100,000 renminbi on the stage from HTC, which was the first time I received an over-dimensioned check from somebody. We still have that check. And I think VR has been quite difficult, to be honest with you. There's not many people that watch VR in the ecosystem out there, and the ones that watch are normally 18-year-old geeks in the back of the house playing computer games. So it's not really our audience. If they would watch anyway, there's just not many eyeballs there, and you actually always measure things in time spent. If you think about how much time is really spent under VR goggles, it's just very, very minuscule. Even 360 videos, maybe a bit more. So that kind of honestly doesn't quite work for us, which we figured out. But what really does work is in offline environments. So as I said, we have that store, which is quite innovative and is kind of the future of how travel retail works. And it does make a difference. People scan a QR code, enter our CRM system, then they can choose what kind of destination to explore. And it does really create desire, empathy, and also is a great door opener for the sales funnel to actually upsell people into a vacation.
So the stores are actually, you are seeing some uplift in sales.
Yeah, we do.
From the actual offline stores.
But it's also not that easy. It's very difficult to track somebody who watched it. It's kind of possible because you have to scan a QR code before you actually get to see it. Then we know what you saw. You saw something Maldives. And then maybe because the purchase cycle is much longer with travel, you're not going to see something today and you go fly there tomorrow. So it takes like 3 months or 6 months. So there is a conversion happening, but it's difficult to track, and I couldn't now say, wow, this is amazing. It doesn't quite, in the short term, doesn't quite really look amazing yet.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we have, I guess. Thank you all so much for being with us today. I think we all learned a lot. Give them a round of applause.